In this video, I'm going to be going over 3 of the most important things you should consider if you are going to own SCHD or if you already own SCHD. Now, SCHD is a very popular ETF for many reasons, but I am going to highlight 3 key reasons why you should invest in the ETF, or if you're already an investor in the ETF, why it is a great thing. And before we begin, if you could give this video a like to get this content out there to show others that this is a great ETF, that will be great, and also subscribe for future content. Reason number 1 why SCHD, or the Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETF, is so great is its holdings and also its investment methodology. I am going to group that all in one. SCHD is designed to track the performance of the Dow Jones U.S. Dividend 100 Index. And now this is a great index to track and probably why this ETF is so popular. And in my opinion, this is one of the best investment methodologies that a dividend ETF has. So the Dow Jones U.S. Dividend 100 Index is designed to measure the performance of high dividend yielding stocks in the U.S. with a record of consistently paying dividends. And then from there, they are selected for their fundamental strength relative to their peers. So not only does this dividend ETF select high-yielding dividend stocks, but it also selects stocks that have a record of increasingly paying dividends, so dividend growth stocks as well. And then it is run through a series of fundamental ratios to pick the best of the best. From those holdings, you are going to get a very diverse ETF based on industry, with no single industry at the top truly outweighing each of the others. If you look at the top holdings here based on industry, there really isn't too much difference between industrials, healthcare, financials, and consumer goods lags behind a little bit. But those top industries are very narrow there. So you're going to get a very diversified ETF with no industry at the top significantly outweighing the others. And in total, this is a pretty diversified ETF overall. It has a total of 104 holdings. So not only are you going to get that industry diversification, but you're also going to get that company diversification as well. Looking at these top 10 holdings, you do see a broad, diverse selection of quality stocks, everything from technology to consumer staples. Like Broadcom is a tech company. It specializes in semiconductors. Same with Texas Instruments. You see communications through Verizon. You see energy from Chevron. And you also see consumer staples from Coca-Cola. All in all, again, these top 10 holdings are all quality and they're very diverse across their industry. These companies do pay different dividends. Again, this is a ETF that selects a diverse mix of stocks that select companies based on their dividend growth and dividend yield. So you're going to see some really high paying dividend companies like Verizon, but also some modest paying dividend companies like Texas Instruments as well that offer that growth in there. Important factor number 2 is the dividend, both the dividend yield and the dividend growth. Of course, as dividend investors, if you're watching this video, you really look for different dividend metrics. So there's basically 2 metrics, dividend yield and dividend growth. Now, this ETF offers a great mix of both. This ETF offers a pretty decent dividend yield of 3.4% approximately, which is in line with other high-yielding dividend ETFs like VYM. And moving on to the dividend growth aspect, this ETF has a dividend growth of about 12 years and also a very high dividend growth rate of 13.05. So this actually beats out certain dividend growth ETFs like VIG. So not only does this ETF offer high dividend yield, but it also offers great consistent dividend growth as well. And it really is the best of both worlds when it comes to dividend investing. And when it comes to the dividend, this is a quarterly dividend paying ETF. So every 3 months you are going to get a dividend. And I'm just going to kind of scroll down to show you that dividend growth over time. As you can see in the cash amount column, you do see that dividend grow over time. If we do go back several years, you could see how small that dividend was compared to where it is now. So that kind of just goes to highlight the dividend growth of this ETF over time. If you invest early in this ETF, or if you invest now, you can think that the dividend you're going to be getting per share in 10 years is going to be very good. And finally, getting into the third important thing to consider before investing, or if you're already an investor in the ETF, is its performance Now, if we look at performance, we can compare it to other popular dividend ETFs. So what I'm going to do is compare it to VIG, which is the most popular dividend ETF there is, and SCHD is the second most popular dividend ETF, and slightly behind that is VYM, which is the Vanguard High Dividend Yield Index. So VIG is an appreciation ETF. It seeks to track companies that have a history of growing their dividends, and VYM is a high yield dividend ETF. It seeks to track companies with high yield dividends. And I think if you look at this is why SCHD is becoming so popular, or already is so popular. You hear about it everywhere. It outperforms high dividend yield ETFs like VYM, and it also outperforms dividend appreciation ETFs like VIG. And it does both at the same time. So it also has that high dividend, and it also has that dividend appreciation. So again, it really is the best of both worlds based on investment methodology. And of course, that is why I believe it is so popular to dividend investors. Now, this doesn't account for any taxes that you might pay on that dividend, but it kind of just goes to show you, if you do hold this on its own and it's not a taxable account, SCHD has performed both of these other major ETFs quite well, and again, does that by both offering yield and growth over time. So of course, I am putting my money where my mouth is. I do hold a considerable amount of SCHD. At least for me, it does contribute to a large portion of my overall net worth. Of course, not all of it. I do diversify, but SCHD, I do have $17,000 worth, which is a decent amount of money to me overall. Let me know if you also invest in it or are considering about investing in it. I'd love to know all of your opinions. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content, and I'll see you all in the next video.